It's only my opinion. Coffee milk.
All right, guys. So our next story is entitled Fatal Shooting. So Kyle Rittenhouse was arrested in his home state of Illinois after traveling to Kenosha to play vigilante with other gun-toting Blue Lives Matter clown humans, people. So he traveled there in hopes of, I guess, helping the police or helping defending businesses and buildings that were being burnt. I don't know. Whatever freaking protesters do when they're pissed the hell off. I hate these headphones right now. I'm trying to adjust these things. Anyways, yeah. So he traveled there to play vigilante. He shot like 3 people. 2 people died, I believe. But the crazy part of the story is that after he did the shooting, people were yelling and saying, "Oh, hey, this guy is shooting people." Instead of arresting him, the cops sort of allowed him to walk. So it was, the story goes on. It says, with his rifle still on display, the suspected gunman appeared to have his hands over his head as he approached the police in an apparent surrender. And he had his hands up. This is what a reporter said that was there. He said he had his hands up, and they told him to get out of there, even though everyone was yelling that he was the shooter. So he has a gun on him. He has his hands up. Everyone's saying, hey, the guy with his hands up and the gun on his fucking shoulder is shooting people out here. The cops tell him to go on, continue his life. And that's why they end up arresting him all the way in Illinois instead of where he shot the people. It's crazy in situations like this. When you see a result of a man walking back to his car, he gets like 7 rounds in his back. But a dude walking down the middle of the street, strapped with a gun, with his hands in the air, he just gets told to go home. The police said, though, the reason why they didn't arrest him was everything got confusing. There was, and I quote, this is from the sheriff, his name is David Beth, a quote, there was screaming and hollering and chanting, and the situation was so high and stressed. You're in tunnel vision. So he's saying the reason they didn't see the guy was because, there was all this chaos. There was so many things happening. Even though when you see in the video, the guy is in the street by himself. There isn't really much people around him because he has a gun and he's shooting people. Not like there was a crowd around him. He was in the street by himself, walking down with his hands up, and yet they still told him to get along. I don't know how you miss a whole rifle on a dude's shoulder, but somehow they did.
Well, there were a lot of armed people around there. I mean, I'm not justifying the police.
Militias?
Yeah, obviously.
None of the protesters were armed.
No, one of the guys he shot had a gun. But I'm saying that there were lots of people like him around. Like when you see the video, they're shooting everywhere. And I'm not saying this to just the police department, because obviously the Kenosha Police Department is on some bullshit. Their chief is crazy. But like, this is going to happen more and more, because like this tradition that we've developed in America of bringing guns to protests, like, it's shocking this doesn't happen more often. This has happened before, something along these lines of protesters shooting each other. And yeah, it's just insane. Like, this kid who shot the people is a 17-year-old high school dropout. And I think he should, I don't know the circumstances. I mean, the video I saw, it appeared like he was being attacked. I don't know if he provoked that. I don't know what happened, but like, the folks who organized him being there should be held accountable for this. Like, whoever started the Facebook group that's like, if you're a Republican and you like cops, you should get your AR-15 and come down to Kenosha with us. Like those folks should be held accountable for that, because this is
he went to the situation. He lives in Illinois. What is he doing?
15 minutes away.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't live. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with him. You're not a police officer, for one. So why the hell are you even there? So to say, oh, there's many people around, he put himself in that situation. It's all on him and all the rest of the scumbags who are there.
100%. And I'm not justifying that. I'm just saying that it goes beyond him. Like, that was an organized group of folks who was there. He's obviously a fucking idiot. There's no like, the fact that he would, like, the people who enabled him to be there should also be held accountable, because like, yeah, I don't know. It's horrifying. It's going to happen more. Yeah, I think we should get used to political violence in this country. Like,
I don't think we should get used to that shit. I hate terms like that. Like, we should get you. No, we shouldn't get used to that shit. We should do something about that. We shouldn't get. I shouldn't be used to. There's already so many things I have to worry about being a black man that now I have to also worry about fucking that shit. Like, nah, man. Like, that's.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying there's nothing we can do about it. Like, the cat's out of the bag there. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think that. I don't think that's true, because the police officers didn't do anything about it. It's as simple as a vigilante, someone walking with a gun, arresting them, especially when the crowd was saying that he was shooting. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Whatever argument you want to make on why I don't want to say it was okay, but that it was plausible for them to miss this guy doesn't make any sense. He was if you look at the image, he was in the streets by himself walking down. There was no one around him. They saw him. They looked at him. How do you look at someone and not see a gun on their shoulder?
Well, no, the police are on some bullshit. I mean, the police were literally driving around giving them water, like giving the vigilantes water. So, like, no, I'm not saying the police.
That's how you change it. Police should not be buddying up with vigilantes. That's how you change it. You say, oh, how do you change it? You just allow it to happen. No, you don't allow it to happen. You don't have police officers who give vigilantes water and encourage them to go and shoot protesters. That's how you stop that.
And let's not call them vigilantes anyways. I think of vigilantes, I think of Batman, somebody who's really fighting crime, not over here doing crime. But like, this just goes to show that, like, for one, police aren't here to protect you. Like, they're not protecting anybody, because first and foremost, a white guy died, right? He was the guy.
Two of them.
Two white guys died.
Two white guys died. So they're not even protecting white people. They're literally protecting no one. I think about how the fact that there was a kid who got shot in front of my school. We have 2 officers in my school. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but they didn't stop that from happening. That's the whole defund the police thing. I believe in it because I have yet to hear of a time when police were actually doing what they were supposed to be doing and stopping crime from happening.
Escalating crime.
They are doing the opposite of de-escalating. They're actually escalating crime. They're doing the crimes themselves.
Exactly.
They're imprisoning people who have done stupid things, like using drugs or whatever. To me, it just boggles my mind. It continues the narrative that like I don't know if reforming the police. You say that it could work on a federal level. I feel like I feel so hopeless about police at this point.
Listen, I mean, this different police departments like have different. Like, they act differently. I mean, every municipality has different police departments. Of course. And the fact is, I mean, there's been this trend over the last 20, 30 years that police forces that are basically run by democratic municipal governments have become less violent. They're killing less people, and that includes all the big cities. I mean, the NYPD did not look good this year. They did not act well in those protests. But the fact is there has been positive change in the NYPD and their use of force over the last 20, 30 years. In places like Kenosha, in smaller cities that have mixed Republican Democratic control or are just controlled by Republicans, police are becoming more militarized and being involved in more of these incidents. So I think there are best practices. And when it comes to defund the police, I think we should be really careful about that, because there is links between police action and reduction in violence. And like, we have to talk about the unintended consequences. We have to talk about police harassing people and how that's like not worth the reduction in violence necessarily. But I do not think we need fewer police or like less money to the police. I think we need to be able to fire police. I think we need to get rid of a lot of these police and replace them with people who are not only better people and not going to be giving fucking water bottles to like white supremacist militias, but also people who have the funding to help communities. Because young black men are the most likely to be victimized by police. They're also the most likely to be victimized by the kind of crimes that rise when you get rid of police. I think we should just keep that in mind.
Repeat that last part?
So young black men and young Latino men, to a lesser extent, they're most likely to be affected by police brutality, but they're also the crimes that rise when police presence declines, like murder, violent robbery, stuff like that. Young black men are also the most likely to be victims of those crimes. So it's like
What do you mean by victims? Are you trying to say that that most black men then will commit those
I'm not
those
saying
violent
that.
crimes because police
I'm
are
saying that if we drop the police brutality rate and violent crime increases, that's going to hurt the same people that police brutality.
The thing is that we don't know if the decrease of defunding police will then mean crime will rise. That's an assumption that we're making because we have tied, or not we, white people have tied the police with safety. So yes, I totally understand you as a white male thinking that if you defund the police that somehow there's going to be crime, because to you, their safety, right? Their comfort. As a black man, hold on, let me finish my point. As a black man, I don't believe that. Police aren't safety to me. So defunding the police doesn't affect my life in any negative way because I'm fucked either way. There's too many cops around, they're gonna harass me. There's not enough cops around, supposedly I'm gonna get shot by other black people. Like, nah, like I don't, no.
Okay, so listen, I didn't know we were gonna talk about this. I wish I did, so I had the studies in front of me. But
bring the numbers.
Yeah, but first of all, I don't want to act. I've gotten my ass kicked by cops before. There was no pretext to it. I was smoking weed, but police violence affects black.
You thug.
No, I wasn't a thug. I was a fucking legit teenager smoking weed. But police violence affects black people worse than it affects black Americans worse than it affects white Americans. But when we compare our statistics to other countries, like in Europe and Japan, every American is more likely to be killed by police, more likely to be assaulted by police. So
because they kill, the reason why that statistic is the way it is, numbers never lie, but people do, is because the majority of people that are dying are black people. Not by black people. Cops are killing the majority black and colored people, then not white people. When you see these tragedies happen, very rarely is it a white person dying from the hands of a cop. So yes, that makes sense, but what you're failing to put in there is that the majority of that is black people and colored people and people of color.
No, I just said that. I'm not. I literally said it's disproportionately affecting people. I'm
okay.
ignoring that at all.
Sorry, I might have
obviously just listen. But what I'm saying is you're incorrect that police presence doesn't decrease violence. It definitely does, and there have been I don't have the studies in front of me because I wasn't prepared for this conversation, but there are basically what they've found, in New York, what they found is that stop and frisk did decrease crime, but it had horrible effects on the community relations, And
yeah. Oh my God, bro! I love that. I love that for crime. I love for crime to decrease that we have to be harassed, right?
No,
it's always on our backs. Like for crime to be better, you have to go around and dig into black men's pockets to see if they have drugs.
If you interrupt me halfway through, you're not going to get my point.
I was just highlighting that point.
What I'm saying is that what they've found since then is that if you have police presence in an area without them harassing people. So basically have the cops there, don't have them stop and frisking, but have them be visible. That has similar reductions of crime. And I think that that's something that maybe we should look into. On the one hand, yes, these militarized police doing stop and frisk, kind of having this insanely adversarial relationship with communities, that has to end. But these people in the communities also deserve police protection. And if there's no police, but
we don't get protected. Once again, you're talking from a white perspective.
No, I'm not
because get that protection. That's my whole point, Jake.
When crime goes up in Baltimore, when crime goes up in New York, do you think it's people like me being affected? It's not. They don't look like me.
When crime goes up in New York, we're being affected on both ends, freaking ends. So
and that's what I'm saying, Clam. So
my the argument that the presence of cops makes the community safer. You're talking about that, Jake, and you need to recognize that from a white perspective. Because, Jake, you being a white male, you do not at all at all. When you think about cops, in your brain, they don't come across as evil, right? They haven't done anything in. Am I
Man,
mistaken?
I got handcuffed by cops and my head slammed against the door over and over again when I was
That does.
years old.
But
I am
Jake,
not a
that
fan of
doesn't-
cops, and I'm not saying that they are not racist. And of course, we're all slaves to our perspectives. I am just saying that when police activity and like if you completely defund the police, there is overwhelming evidence. This does not come from my perspective. This just comes from like the data that crime is going to go up, and it is not going to be folks like me being affected. It's going to be, and it's going to be people like you, but younger. You know, it's going to be people like Bianca. This is the world Bianca's kid is growing up in, and like I don't want Bianca
fair tactics.
to get brutalized by cops. I also don't want him growing up in a world where the violent crime rate spikes.
Fair tactics. Fair tactics. Like I think there needs to be. I don't think that there isn't room for police officers. I think that the system needs to be more I don't want to say complicated. It needs to have different branches because cops can't handle all of the things that they get called for. Okay, cops don't know how to de-escalate. Just from the Blake situation, you can see cops don't know how to de-escalate situations. So what are they there for? Like you keep telling me that they bring safety, right? And I'm telling you that is the reason I'm telling you from it's a white perspective because you see them as safe. I don't think they bring safety because as a black man, I can only see them killing my people constantly every week and every month. When I see cops, the first thing that pops in my brain isn't, oh, I'm safe, the cops are here. It's, oh, fuck, the cops are here. Oh my God. Like that's the perspective that you're not understanding. And you can make it rosy and think that, oh, cops mean safety. That's fine. I can understand why you think that, but I will never think that, and I've never been trained.
We need to circle back on this because like there is good data. I just don't have it. Like I was trying to desperately Google it.
I was trying to go into this. The reason why I was talking about this anyways, because I wanted you to listen to what the sheriff said once it got brought to his attention that people got shot by this dumbass.
Everybody involved was out after the curfew. I'm not going to make a great deal of that, but the point is the curfew's in place to protect. Had persons not been out involved in violation of that, perhaps the situation that unfolded would not have happened.
So because protesters didn't adhere to his rules and go home, that's why they got shot. And it's majority people like this that are running police departments. It's people who think like this that are running all these departments. And this is why the system is terrible. And this is why the system constantly fails, because the people who are supposed to be the leaders think like this. As a cop who's supposed to look out for the safety of the civilians, he says, yeah, maybe if you were at home and you weren't past the curfew, you wouldn't have got shot. Like, you shouldn't be fired on the spot for saying something like that. But nope, he's going to continue probably to have his job. He's going to continue to do the same thing. And the police, and this is just exactly why I just hate this.
Well, that's all he was doing was saving his job. He was saving his ass. You know what I mean? He was like, all right, what's the one thing that I can say that will kind of make sense to people? Oh, well, there was a curfew that was supposed to be adhered by, and that wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? So I mean, even as he believes that.
Even as police chiefs go, like the police chief of Kenosha, Wisconsin, is pretty bad. I mean, he has a long history of saying racist shit. And yeah, and that's the real thing. Like, I don't think it's so much about defunding police. I think it's about like firing a lot of the police who are in charge now.
How do you do that with the unions?
No, it's hard. It's hard. I don't have a game plan for it. But like it's gotten to the point. Like, I bring it back to civil rights. Like when school segregation was still going on, like the federal government had never done anything like forcing states to integrate their schools. But like as a nation, we were like, this has gotten so fucking bad that we need to just break tradition and change things on a massive scale. And I think that definitely needs to happen. And yeah, I'm not defending the police here. I just think that there is a place for police in society, and we don't need no police. We need good police, because like this police chief sounds like a dumb racist thug, you know? And a lot of cops, like including some cops I do martial arts with and stuff, are kind of dumb racist thugs, you know? And like, we just need to, I'm not smart enough to know how to do this, but like, we need to reform it. So that's no longer the case.
And I don't think that, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, I threw out the defund the police thing just because that has been like a, I don't know, popular thing to say.
But we should.
But I would like if next week you could bring the actual studies and statistics on it, because I am interested to know, you know, but like how are those studies even done, I guess, is what I would want to know. Like, are they really done in earnest?
Yeah, I mean, listen, especially me as a white person, like talking about this, like I need to come correct. So like,
here's the, yeah.
But
I just want to say, Jacob, I don't think, and when I get like a little irate like this, I don't think that you're defending. I think sometimes white people come from it from their perspective and how they feel and how they've lived life, and they don't understand that just because they have experienced something in a certain light, it doesn't mean everyone else is experiencing it that way. And if just because you find safety in this one thing, it doesn't mean I find safety in it. So when you take the symbol as it's going to make everything safer, and the same symbol has been the thing that's made me feel unsafe, then your argument can't
listen, we're all slaves to our perspective. I just want to make that absolutely
bad choice of words, but go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. We're yeah, my bad. Yeah, we're all obviously completely defined. Our opinions are all defined by our perspective. I don't want to marginalize that. But what I'm saying, and once again, I wish I had this, is like, this is not from like, what I'm quoting is studies, and you know, and I should have, if I knew, I'd be more knowledgeable about this. But like, basically, if you remove police from a community altogether, violent crime goes up, it goes up a lot.
Right, but
and it doesn't go up. And generally speaking, and this is a solid foundation empirically, it does not affect people like me. It affects young Black people.
Once again, I think that's false. And the reason why I say it's false, because the majority of the people that have the most money in this country are Caucasian. The majority of people who don't are Blacks, Hispanics. So of course, when you're in a poor community, there's going to be more violence, especially when you don't have anything and your neighbor doesn't have any. The reason why there's violence in certain communities is because people don't have enough to live. When you think about suburban communities, there's not a lot of people stealing shit because everyone in the community has jobs, they have security, they have a home. So they're not worried about making ends meet. When you live in a poor community, that's what you're constantly thinking about. And if you don't have the opportunities to make money, then you're gonna try to find underhanded ways to do it. So it goes all back to the fact of it goes back to the system and how we have shaped it. And violence, that's what it blows my mind. I don't think that because the way that statistic made it sound is like the minorities are just going to go on an uprise because there's no cops. And I think that's bullshit.
Clint, I'm not making a values argument.
Poor people of all colors and creed are going to go, crime is going to go on the uprise with them. It just happens to be that the majority of people that are poor are Black and brown. So yes, the statistic is going to look like that when there's no police officers, that there's an uptick in the brown and Black community because we don't have shit.
Clint, I'm not making a values argument here. I'm just saying that if we're advocating positions, we should just be clear about the potential unintended consequences of that. And like at the
right, but that's not the but that's not the reason for the consequence. Okay, so the violent uptick has nothing to do with the cops, though. Is my point. The violent uptick will have to do with the fact that people don't have. It has nothing to do with the fucking cops, because Black and brown people don't feel safe with cops. So it has nothing to do with that. Cops are security guards. Cops are basically security guards at malls that are preventing, that'll be like, yo, the upscale people can go through, but hey, keep out the Black people. That's what they are. They are crowd control. That's all they do. So to you, like I said, their safety, they're not to me. And I'm gonna move.
I mean, I need to come correct with this, because like, you're right. I mean, I'm not basing this off my own perspective. In this case, I mean, we all are, but like there are, I mean, there's been a lot of studies done on this. And I mean, if you're saying that you don't think having police in the community prevent any violence.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay. But I just think, here's the thing. This is all I'm saying. I don't think that we should do, like, I think if there was a racist, corrupt school system, no one would say we have to just completely defund that school system. We don't need public schools, the private
There
schools.
are, okay. Yeah, see,
I know. So no one is saying to defund those. They're saying we need to go in there and reform them. And that might.
The reason why people are saying to defend those because they're not killing and murdering kids. They're two different, like, of course we're not, like, anyways, I'm done. I'm going to move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Bianca, do you have anything to say?
You guys said a lot there, but yeah, no, I don't really have anything to add. I think that it would take a lot to reform the police, and I would still be leery of them because they're in a power position that nobody else is in. Plus, they're scared, and I get that. I'm sure being a police officer is not easy. I would never want to do that. I wouldn't want that for my son. I wouldn't want that for anybody that I know because of the stress of the job and everything else. So the type of training that's required is astronomical. And to be honest, I don't know if a human being can even be objective in situations that cops are put into. And that's what scares me about cops. Do I think that they should go away completely? I'm not sure. Like I said, to be honest, I personally have never been in a situation, thank God, knock on wood, where I've needed to call the cops. And I think about this all the time. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, when I walk my dog at night, I should bring my phone with me in case I need to call the cops, right? But then I think, like, would I call the cops, or should I call my husband, or should I call somebody else to help me? I don't know. You know what I mean? Would they really be helpful? I don't know. I think, like I said, knock on wood, I've never been in such a situation. But so far, all I've seen is them not being there when you need them and being there when you don't need them. You know?
Yeah, I want to make something clear. I don't call the cops. Like, I got, about a month ago, I was involved in some people invaded my house and tried to get me, and I had to fend them off. And, like, the thought of calling the police never even crossed my mind. And so, I mean, I think a lot of us don't trust the cops. I think that's where this comes from. And I think the defund the police movement is understandable. Because, like you said, police unions are just so resistant to even the most common sense reforms. You have all these, like, police chiefs who are just obviously racist. So I understand where it comes from. I just worry about the unintended consequences.
Right. And like I said, like, being objective is not easy as a human being. Like, and cops are human beings who come with whatever backstories that they have. And most of the times those backstories may not be good, especially for Black folk or brown folks or whatever. And so that's what makes me worried. Do I think it's completely not going to be able to happen? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just leery of it. That's what I have to say, I guess. My mom is Black and she loves calling the damn police. She calls the police for everything. She used to tell me she'll call the police on me if I didn't do my homework and shit. So.
It's only my opinion. Coffee milk.